The Philadelphia Eagles 2025 schedule is officially out, and let's just say it's not for the faint of heart. As fans and analysts dive into the details, the initial reaction has been a mix of excitement and unease. On the surface, it looks like one of the most challenging schedules in the league, ranked as the fourth hardest based on last year's win totals. But here's the twist: it might not be as brutal as it first appears. This schedule marks a historic first. The Eagles will not play back-to-back home games at any point this season. That's never happened before for a reigning Super Bowl champion. It's a schedule that, at first glance, feels almost punishing. No easy stretches, no comfort of consecutive games in Philly. Naturally, the media has latched onto this narrative, already projecting some tough losses and even hinting at a potential 1-3 start. It's almost as if the story is already written, despite the fact that Vegas still favors the Eagles in every single game this season, except for two: Week 2 against the Chiefs and Week 17 against the Bills. So why the doom and gloom? The reality is that this schedule is a test of consistency. The Eagles' path to repeating their success is lined with adversity right from the start. But rather than worrying about hypothetical scenarios, let's focus on what the Eagles control, their preparation, and the resilience that got them to the top in the first place. A lighthearted moment, the Lane Johnson prank. With all the buzz around the schedule release, it's easy to get caught up in speculation. But in the middle of all this seriousness came a moment of pure comedy. Thanks to Lane Johnson. During an appearance on Chris Long's podcast, Johnson got caught off guard by a brilliantly executed prank. Long told Johnson that the Eagles would be playing a game in Shanghai this season. You could see the wheels turning as Lane processed the idea of flying halfway around the world for a game, then heading back to face the LA Rams without skipping a beat. Johnson's reaction was priceless, genuinely trying to piece together how this could make sense. When he finally realized it was all a joke, he couldn't help but laugh it off. It was a reminder that even in the middle of the grind, the Eagles still know how to keep things light. Primetime Eagles, must-watch football. Here's one thing we do know. The Eagles will be in the national spotlight a lot. 6 primetime games this season, the second most in the league behind only Kansas City and Dallas. That's a clear statement from the NFL. The Eagles are a team everyone wants to see. It's not just about being champions, it's about the stories, the rivalries, and the star power that Philadelphia brings to the field. Whether it's Jalen Hurts leading the offense, A.J. Brown making plays, or the defense setting the tone, every game feels like an event. The perception that the schedule is a gauntlet is understandable, but this team has proven that adversity is just part of the journey. For the Eagles, it's not about worrying over projections or the media's expectations. It's about proving week after week that they belong at the top. The Eagles' 2025 schedule has sparked plenty of reactions, and it's not hard to see why. For starters, just 65% of their games will be played on Sundays, a scheduling oddity that breaks from tradition. This unique setup is raising eyebrows, but instead of diving straight into the game-by-game breakdown, let's zoom out and look at the good and the bad in a broader context. The tough start, a trial by fire, right out of the gate. The Eagles face an uphill battle. Sure, they'll be hosting their division rival, the Dallas Cowboys, in Week 1. On the surface, that sounds like a daunting way to open the season. But there's good news here. Head coach Nick Sirianni is 4-0 in season openers, and the Eagles outscored Dallas 75-13 in their first 2 matchups last year. Despite Cowboys fans pointing to Dak Prescott's 9-4 record against the Eagles, the reality is that when Prescott faces Philly starters, he's just 5-4. So yes, it's a rivalry game, but it's one the Eagles should feel confident about. The challenge intensifies immediately afterward. In Week 2, the Eagles hit the road to face the Kansas City Chiefs, a Super Bowl 59 rematch. There's no easy way to spin this one. Kansas City remains a powerhouse, and Arrowhead Stadium is one of the toughest environments in the league. The following week, the Eagles will host the Los Angeles Rams, one of the NFC's top contenders. Then comes a tricky trip to Florida to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in September heat, a recurring nightmare for the Eagles in recent seasons. Historically, Tampa has been a thorn in Philly's side, and even with changes on the Buccaneers roster, the challenge remains. To round out this brutal stretch, the Eagles face the Denver Broncos. Despite a rough 2024, Denver's defense looks much improved, And with a new mindset under head coach Sean Payton, this game feels like a potential trap. In total, these first 5 games make up what could be the hardest stretch of the season. But here's the thing. If the Eagles can find their footing early, something they struggled with last year, they could use this stretch as a momentum builder. Starting strong in 2025 might just set the tone for another postseason push. Travel woes, not this time. One surprising silver lining in the Eagles' schedule is the limited travel. The team will cover just 15,924 miles during the regular season, the 11th fewest in the NFL and the least among NFC teams. To put it in perspective, last year they logged over 22,000 miles. Reducing the travel burden can make a difference as the season grinds on, helping players stay fresher for the critical late-season matchups. The perfect bye-week timing can make all the difference in a long NFL season. And this year, the Eagles catch a break with their bye in Week 9, right in the middle of the season. Compared to the Week 5 bye in 2024, which disrupted their rhythm early, this midseason pause allows for a valuable reset just when injuries and fatigue typically start to set in. If things go as planned, this could be the key to keeping the roster healthy and prepared for the playoff push, balancing tough stretches with strategic breaks. Even with a challenging start and primetime pressure, the Eagles' schedule isn't just a relentless gauntlet. The bye-week placement, reduced travel, and key home games at strategic points offer some breathing room. It's not a schedule built for coasting. It's designed to test resilience. But for a team like Philadelphia, thriving in adversity has become second nature. If they can navigate the first 5 games and hit their stride by mid-season, this schedule, difficult as it may be, could end up being the catalyst for another deep playoff run. After navigating a grueling early schedule, the Philadelphia Eagles find themselves in a more manageable position to close out the season, starting in Week 13 with a post-Thanksgiving matchup against the Chicago Bears. The road ahead seems significantly less daunting. This Black Friday game marks the beginning of what could be a smooth finish for the defending champions. The Eagles then face the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football, followed by the Las Vegas Raiders in their final 1 p.m. kickoff of the season. They'll wrap up with 2 games against the Washington Commanders and a showdown against the Buffalo Bills. While there's been plenty of hype around the Commanders, it's entirely possible they'll be exposed as overhyped by this point in the season. And while Buffalo is undoubtedly formidable, a Week 17 matchup might see the Bills with little to play for, likely having secured the AFC East title. Rest and recovery. Strategic scheduling. One underappreciated aspect of the Eagles' schedule is the built-in rest advantages. Despite facing 6 non-divisional road games, 5 of them come with some form of extra rest, either following a Monday night game or after a Thursday night matchup. For a team built on physicality and relentless pace, those extra days could make all the difference against playoff-caliber opponents. The structure of the season also sets the Eagles up well for a strong finish. After a tough opening stretch, the midseason bye gives them a chance to recalibrate. Following that, the more favorable matchups could help them build momentum heading into the postseason. Predicting the path. Wins and losses. Let's get real. Predicting an NFL season is always tricky, especially with how unpredictable teams can be year to year. However, given the way the schedule lines up, the Eagles have a realistic shot at 11 or 12 wins. Here's a probable path. The Eagles could start 2-2, dropping games against the Chiefs and Buccaneers. Then they could bounce back with 4 straight wins before the bye, bringing them to 6-2. Post-bye, they likely beat the Packers but could stumble against the Lions, ending up at 7-3. From weeks 12 to 15, a 3-1 run seems plausible, with the only loss potentially coming against the Chargers. The final few games should see the Eagles secure victories against the Commanders and Bills, possibly resting their starters in Week 18 if they've locked up the division. A 12-5 finish feels right given the talent and the way the schedule breaks down. A championship mindset built to repeat. It's worth reminding everyone, this is still the team that won the Super Bowl. While critics might point to the schedule's difficulty, the Eagles have arguably gotten even better this offseason, especially with their impressive draft haul. NFL analyst Chris Sims recently called the Eagles the most well-built, well-orchestrated football team of the century. And he's not wrong. The offensive line is elite, the defensive line is dominant, and the wide receiver duo is as good as it gets. With Jalen Hurts at quarterback and the secondary getting younger and more dynamic, this team is poised to make another deep run. As the 2025 season looms, the Eagles are not just defending champions, they are legitimately stronger. The schedule may be tough, but this roster is built to handle it. The road ahead isn't just about surviving, it's about proving they're still the team to beat. It's not often you see a front office navigate a potentially volatile situation with such finesse, but that's exactly what the Eagles did with Dallas Goedert. After weeks of swirling trade rumors, it seemed almost certain that Goedert would be moved before the draft. Reports even indicated that teams like the Colts and Broncos were on the verge of a deal, but instead, the Eagles pulled off a masterstroke, restructuring Goedert's deal to bring him back on a one-year, team-friendly contract. It wasn't just the result that was impressive, but the process. Instead of keeping Goedert in the dark, the front office kept him involved, maintaining open lines of communication. According to Mike Garafolo, the Eagles had trade offers during the draft, but made sure Goedert was informed and part of the conversation. That's how you preserve relationships while navigating tough decisions. As a result, no bridges were burned, and the Eagles secured one of their most reliable receiving options for another year. It's a testament to Howie Roseman's leadership, turning a potential crisis into a victory. Pickens to Dallas, a new rivalry brewing, while Goedert's return was a relief. The Eagles' division rivals also made a move that caught some attention. The Dallas Cowboys acquired George Pickens from the Steelers for a third-round pick. On the surface, it seems like a decent addition. Pickens has the size and potential to be a game-changer. But there's a flip side. Pickens is known for his volatile temperament. Bringing that kind of personality into Big D could spell trouble, especially if things get heated. Plus, let's not forget that Pickens faced the Eagles earlier this season and put up a complete goose egg. It's not just about talent, it's about consistency. And right now, that's questionable with him. The real intrigue here lies with Kelly Ringo. The former Georgia Bulldog practiced against Pickens regularly in college, giving him a unique edge. If Ringo is named the starter, that Week 1 matchup just got a whole lot more interesting. Can he leverage that familiarity to shut Pickens down again? That's one of the biggest early tests for the young cornerback. Safety concerns. Justin Simmons in the mix. In the midst of all this, there's another potential addition that has been on the radar for a while. Justin Simmons. Once again, reports surfaced during the past week about Simmons' desire to join the Eagles, this time from NFL insider Brian Baldinger. Simmons is undeniably one of the league's best safeties, known for his ball-hawking ability and leadership on the field. The idea of pairing him with the likes of Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship is tantalizing, but it's complicated. The Eagles have invested in the position through the draft, adding Andrew Mukuba and Sidney Brown. The real decision will come down to training camp. If the Eagles feel they're still lacking at safety, Simmons becomes an even more attractive option. But right now, they're cautiously optimistic about their young talent. It's one of those situations where keeping options open is the smartest play, balancing talent and stability. What makes the Eagles' approach so fascinating is how they're balancing proven talent with emerging stars. While adding a veteran like Simmons could solidify the secondary, there's also a desire to let the young players develop. It's a tricky line to walk, but it's also why this roster has remained competitive. Whether it's managing contract situations like Goedert's, evaluating new threats like Pickens, or potentially bolstering the secondary with Simmons, the Eagles are demonstrating an impressive ability to adapt on the fly. It's a sign of a well-run organization that understands the importance of both continuity and flexibility. When it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles' safety situation, it's tempting to jump to conclusions. There's been plenty of buzz around Justin Simmons potentially joining the team, but let's be real. It's not happening right now. The Eagles are in no rush, and they shouldn't be. If the current crop of safeties, Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, and Andrew Mukuba, doesn't look sharp early in camp, maybe then the conversation changes. But right now, it's about evaluation and patience. Remember, the Eagles took a similar approach a few years ago, eventually adding C.J. Gardner-Johnson late in training camp. Simmons could be that kind of addition if the need arises, but for now, it's just speculation. Front office exodus, another loss for the Eagles. The Eagles aren't just managing player movements, they're also dealing with a bit of a front office shuffle. The latest departure, Brandon Hunt, who's heading to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a significant loss, especially coming on the heels of the Raiders already snagging Anthony Patch, the Eagles' former director of college scouting. Hunt's influence within the Eagles organization is somewhat under the radar, but make no mistake, he played a key role behind the scenes. Joining the team in 2022, Hunt even interviewed for the Patriots GM position last season. It's a testament to the Eagles' success in building talent, not just on the field, but in the front office. These moves show that other NFL teams are paying attention to what Howie Roseman and his staff have accomplished. It's both a compliment and a challenge. Roseman now has to find a way to keep the Eagles' scouting and personnel departments just as effective without some of his key contributors. New voices in the locker room, Exciting Mike's podcast. In a lighter turn of events, the Eagles' locker room just got a bit louder, figuratively speaking. The debut episode of the Exciting Mike's podcast dropped recently, featuring Cooper Dean and Reed Blankenship. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes content fans crave, raw, funny, and unfiltered. One of the standout moments from the episode was the hypothetical question, could the 2024 Super Bowl winning Eagles take down a gorilla? The debate was lively, if a bit offbeat. The consensus, if the team circled the gorilla and attacked together, they might have a shot. It's exactly the kind of off-the-wall content that makes this podcast worth keeping an eye on. The podcast isn't just about goofy hypotheticals, though. It's a peek into the personalities of the players who make the Eagles tick. Sometimes seeing that human side makes the grind of the season a bit more relatable for fans. Looking ahead, back in the groove, it's been a bit of a break for the Eagles content community, but the offseason grind is back in full swing. The upcoming OTA sessions are the next big checkpoint, and it's time to gear up. Whether it's evaluating the roster depth, analyzing front office changes, or diving into camp battles, there's no shortage of stories to cover. The team's still buzzing from that Super Bowl win, but staying at the top means managing change, both on the field and behind the scenes. The goal is clear. Keep the momentum, even if the pieces around the core are shifting. And that's the real challenge for the Eagles this offseason.